Welcome to 3E TV. My name is Margaret Sass.
And I'm Chuck Callahan.
We are interviewing Michael Young from the Purdue Review. Hi.
Hello.
So I want to ask you some questions regarding what you're doing at Purdue, what it's all about. So can you give us an introduction to who you are and what the product is?
Okay, yeah. So I'm a junior. I'm studying aerospace engineering, and I'm also minoring in economics and political science. So kind of doing a little bit of everything.
Wow.
I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Purdue Review, as you mentioned. The Purdue Review is a student-run news magazine. We like to say that we tell the why and the how of all the news stories that are going on at Purdue. We offer analysis, insight, and commentary on a lot of local and campus news.
Oh, wow. So how many people are involved in this?
Well, okay, so at the beginning of last semester, I believe there's only like 8 or 10 people who came regularly, but after our call out this fall, we had 40 members show up.
Wow.
So we're really excited about that. The club's really growing, and that's great for me in a leadership role because there's a lot of new people in the organization who can take on some of the jobs that I was doing and really grow into them.
Now this is a digital publication, right? You don't have any printed version?
That's somewhat correct. So we do have a website, it's PurdueReview.com, and most of our news stories go there, but we also have a news magazine that we're looking to grow. So we print about 1,000 to 2,000 copies every month, and those get distributed on campus. I would be surprised if you find them because they would go so quickly when we put them out. They're usually only out for maybe like a week at the most before they're all taken up.
Wow.
Wow. So where exactly do you distribute them? Because I don't think I've come across them yet.
We tend to distribute them in like lounges in different campus buildings. So like for example, there's a HKN lounge in the EE building, and we'll put out a stack and they'll usually be gone pretty quickly. But we also have a unique system that no other news organization on campus has. So you can actually go to our website and sign up, and you put in your residence hall and your name, and that's it. And you'll receive a copy of the Purdue Review in the mail, sent to your dorm mailbox, and it's free.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, we're really excited about that program because as a list of people who sign up for that grows, that's a list of people who we know really like our publication and are going to read it every month. So we're really excited to see a new name get added to that list whenever somebody signs up.
Well, tell us a little bit about the types of articles that you all are publishing.
Sure. So we mostly publish stories about local events or things that are going on campus. In the past, we wrote about national news and we would comment on that. But we find that students feel like a lot more connected to our news if it's about things that are close to them. So we'll write about, like for example, we had Industrial Roundtable. So that's the type of event that we would cover. Or like any concerts. And that sort of coverage is the same for both our online and our print articles.
Wow. So do you know how many people have signed up for this mailing program? I'm curious.
We have actually only mentioned it once, really. We haven't done much to push it just because we've been busy with other things. But I think we have about 100 people signed up, and we're looking to double that number by the end of the year.
Wow. Is it challenging to distribute them?
Well, the way we do it is we have a distribution manager, and his job is to determine where we can distribute, where would be good places, and also to get permission to actually do that. And then he also produces a list of, it'll have like our member's name, and then like they're responsible to bring, say, 20 copies to this place. And so we divide up the work, which makes it a lot easier. And then the copies that go through the mail, we just take to the mail room in the basement of Cary.
So what's the size of your readership for the digital, the online?
Well, so our website has been visited, I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but I believe it's over 240,000 times.
240,000.
Right. So a lot of that came after the shooting that occurred at the beginning of this calendar year. A lot of people thought that our coverage of that event was very good. So that's kind of why that number is very high. Our typical, if we're going less than 10,000 people in a month, we think that's too low. So that's kind of what we try to target. So that's about what it is.
Wow, I had no idea. With the digital version, can you print it from that site as well?
You certainly could. I mean, I would recommend, if you really wanted a printed news article, pick up our magazine. We have, I believe, 6 designers now. We used to only have 1. And those guys, I say those guys, but it's actually only one guy and mostly girls. But they do a fantastic job of laying out our stories, making them look good, and making them look interesting. So I would say, as opposed to printing off an article from our website, take a look at our magazine.
And what about photography? Is that part of it?
Yes, every story that we publish has to have a photo going with it. I, over the summer, took a bunch of pictures around campus, so we have a lot of like stock photography. But after our call out, we received a huge number of photographers as well. So they're doing a really good job of coordinating with our writers. So a writer will say, I need a photographer to come with me to cover this. And they'll go out and take some amazing photos. So those are also available online and in the print edition.
Are you finding the students or everyone that's involved pretty responsible? Because this is all a volunteer basis, right?
There is some, you can get paid for some of the work that you do,
Okay.
but I myself have never gotten paid because I just like doing it. I find that everybody who's a part of our organization is really motivated and very talented, and I think that's a very powerful combination to have. So I think everybody's doing a pretty good job of being on top of their assignments, asking me if they have questions. I have people emailing me if they can't come to meetings, and that's always a great thing because it means people really care. So I'm excited.
Well, this is phenomenal. How much time a week are you devoting to this, plus all your schoolwork and everything? This is amazing.
Me personally, I would say it's probably, it depends on the week, but maybe between like 8 to 10 hours a week. And then during the weeks that we're about to print, that usually goes up quite a bit because I'm getting involved in the print edition as well. Most of our time commitment is actually, so we're very flexible for general members, your staff writers. I would say it probably takes them maybe 2 to 3 hours a week.
Okay.
And it's, they can be as involved as they want. And that's a degree of flexibility that we offer that you can't really find at a lot of other campus organizations. So if you're busy for a week, say you have an exam coming up, there's nothing you really have to do.
So how often does the new edition come out?
It's every month. So,
Every month.
yeah.
It's a monthly publication.
That's right. So we aim to get it out the first week of every month. Sometimes that's not possible just because we're waiting on advertisements or something. And in that case, it'll usually be a few days afterwards.
So you just mentioned advertisements, which I never even thought about. So is that what's paying the distribution?
Yeah, so printing a magazine is not cheap. So
No, it's not.
No, it's not. But fortunately, we're working with some really great people at Lafayette Printing who gave us a very reasonable rate, and they're doing a fantastic job. So, but it does cost money. So the way that we generate money in the past was we would write grants, and we would get a certain amount of money at the beginning of the year, and we would have to just try not to spend it all by the end of the year. This year, we transitioned to like an advertising-based model. So we've been contacting local businesses and different offices of Purdue University, and we've had a lot of really good success with them printing their advertisements with us. So you can read a story about something that's going on at Purdue, and then you turn the page, and then there's another, like an article or an advertisement about an event that Purdue's putting on. So our magazine is kind of the place where these where these advertisers' target audience would go. So it's been working really well so far.
Wow, that's pretty neat to actually have advertisers. And I'm guessing that I guess you are soliciting people all over and everyone's responsible for that, or is there someone right there that does it?
So the way our organization is divided up, we've got like writers and photographers, and then we've got basically like a sales team. So I've been leading the sales team, but that's going to be transitioning to like our business manager's job. And our sales team is like 5 or 6 students. They're all like really motivated and they're all very professional. And this is a great way for them to get some experience dealing with business people, get some sales experience, and also develop like their professional skills. So we're really excited about the sales team because that didn't exist like last year. So
What type of student does it attract? Someone in like hotel management or business or?
we get people from all over. Like I said, I'm an engineer. 2 of my friends who are very involved are also engineers. We have people from Cranor. We have people from the Department of Science or College of Science. So we have people from all over the place. Pretty much it. Anybody who wants to develop their professional skills or just develop their ability to communicate better comes to us.
Well, it's got to look fantastic on a resume.
I think it does. I'm not an employer, but I can vouch for them. I think they would think it's great as well. especially if it's if like say your major is like me, I'm an engineer. It's difficult to know if an engineer has like the communication skills necessary to do the job right.
Yeah.
So seeing something like this on a resume, especially if it's not like your central focus, gives you a really strong leg up over the competition because your employer knows that you can communicate in a professional environment.
Right, right.
No, that's an excellent idea. I mean, that's amazing that you can think ahead about professional skills, how other people can get involved and develop what they need for the business world.
Well, yeah, like I said, we do compensate our members for like writing or taking photos, but I really like to think that the thing we provide them that's the biggest value is the development of those skills, professional skills, leadership skills, and things like time management that you have to have when you're writing a news article.
Very cool.
So how are you recruiting these students to join the team? Just putting out a call out and that's been be able to meet the need?
Well, yeah, what we did was we went to I believe it's called the Be Involved Fair. It was a big fair for like all the freshmen on campus. And we set up a table and we bought like 400 mints and we like gave out mints to people. And so we got a pretty good number of people signed up from that. And then we said, come to our call out, sent them an email. And that's pretty much it. The rest of it has been word of mouth. So we've had a few people join because their friends were members. But other than that, it was just that call out pretty much.
Well, great. We are going to be back in a few minutes and continue our conversation with Michael. Thank you.
We are all Boilermakers, but we're also much more. We're history makers, exploring the farthest reaches of our universe, often when strapped to a rocket. We are hope makers, rebuilders of Haitian cityscapes who ensure they'll now withstand any disaster. We are difference makers, developers of drought-resistant crops that just might end world hunger. The fact is, what we make moves the world forward. We are Purdue, makers all.
Hi, welcome back. We are going to be discussing even more information about the Purdue Review. And Michael, I want to ask you, if you are a student, can you tell me about the process that you go through from becoming a member and then getting an article published in your journal?
Yeah, so to become a member, there's simply like a member application that you fill out. And once you do that, we'll give you information on like when our meetings are. So you'll come to a meeting and then we have somebody like lead what we do, like a breakout session. So we'll do general announcements, then we do a breakout. And during this breakout, all the writers get together and they gather around a whiteboard and they just throw out ideas. They're like, oh, I saw a flyer for this event and I'd like to go cover it. And they'll write that on the whiteboard. So we'll do that. We'll come up with a list of, in the past it was only like 5 or 6, now it's like 20 or 30 ideas. And then from those, the writers will basically choose. They'll say, oh, I'd like to cover that, or that's right where I live, so I can totally write about that. And we'll divide up the stories. And then from there, it's pretty much up to you. Sometimes we'll ask for an outline, but most of the time, our writers will just write up the event. They'll go to it, they'll write about it, and they'll coordinate with a photographer to get some pictures. And then from there, that gets sent to our section editors. So we have like a campus news section, for example, and that person's job is to like check it for spelling and grammar. And then from there, that goes to our managing editor, who puts it on the website and like promotes it through Twitter and Facebook and that sort of thing. So it's usually a pretty quick process from the time we get the article to the time it goes up, 1 to 2 days at the most. If it's very time sensitive, it'll go up. I'll get the article directly and I'll put it up.
Wow, that is a quick process.
Well, I'm really curious about some of the stories behind the stories. What have been some of the favorite stories you've done, and if there's any stories behind the stories?
Sure. So one of the stories I think is really interesting actually came out in our last print edition. Actually, no, man, it was in April. Wow, that was a long time ago. But it was a story about Spring Awakening, which is a play that Purdue's theater department puts on. And I did not even know that this play was a thing until one of our writers started writing about it. And it was all about how Purdue has like a very strong like theater program, and it's something that a lot of students aren't aware of. So the story was about how the play is produced, how they handled like all the sound effects and everything, which was really interesting. And there was a lot of like behind the scenes photos of them getting everything set up. And I think that story really exemplifies what we're trying to accomplish as a magazine, because it talks about, like you said, the story behind the story. It's highlighting an important and interesting thing on campus that people may not know about, and it also gives a lot of like cool background and behind the scenes details. So that was one of the stories I think was really strong. I can also talk about some of the stories that are going to be coming out in our next print edition. So I'm a little bit biased to this article because I actually wrote it myself, but it's about the history of like all of Purdue's fountains and like all the like different waterworks and stuff at Purdue. Because there's a lot of really interesting things. Like one of our fountains was actually like removed and put in storage for a while.
Really?
And replaced with a different fountain, and then it was set up somewhere else. So there's a lot of like kind of weird things like that that I never knew. I mean, I went through BGR, but I don't think anybody really knew about like those kind of details. So so that's one article we're really happy about. I'm really happy about because I wrote it. We also have an article about the Purdue tunnel system, which, as I'm sure we're in the basement of Stewart right now. There's a lot of campus infrastructure that's actually underground, and there's tons of rumors about these tunnels. Like, do they exist? How extensive are they? Are they safe? So we're going to be publishing what we think is like a definitive piece on the Purdue tunnel system, so we can kind of set the record straight on all of those things.
Just in time for Halloween.
Right, yeah, exactly. So the article's not that scary, I don't think, but it does have a lot of interesting information that you wouldn't know if you didn't read it. So I definitely encourage anybody to pick up a copy when they find one.
Well, to me, you're adding a depth in articles that have depth, as opposed to, let's say, a daily publication which comes out with like things that happened yesterday, reporting it the next day. You're providing that depth, which is really, I think, a real service for Purdue for what you're doing.
Thank you. So we actually get a comparison a lot of times to the Purdue Exponent, which is the daily newspaper, and they have a very difficult job. They have to find and write about news usually within like 24 hours every day for an entire year, and that's not easy to do. So hats off to them for being able to put that all together. But like you mentioned, our angle is a little bit different. So we're on a different time system, a different cycle. So we have more time to go in depth and look into these stories, which I think is very nice for our writers. On one hand, they can do other things like do homework and stuff. But it also gives us an opportunity to really focus on the story, make sure we get all the facts right, and make sure we explore every avenue that we can before we write the article.
As I'm thinking about the topics that you all are putting together, you basically are using your writers to brainstorm ideas. Have you thought about trying to pick up some feedback across campus, either Twitter or something, asking for specific topics to be addressed?
That's a good idea. In fact, that's something that we had thought about, but we hadn't really put into action. Was is there a way that we can get feedback from the students on what they want to have covered?
Yeah.
Sometimes we do get suggestions from people's roommates or whatever who they're like, oh, this would be a cool story, and we will write about those. But you're right, most of our articles have been determined by our writers, and that would be a really cool feature to add, something where we could get community input on what to create.
There's nothing on your website that says if you have any suggestions, submit here.
There's contact information.
Okay.
So you've got my email and the emails of a few other people, but other than that, we don't have a story submission form.
Oh, okay.
We used to have one actually, but we rebuilt our website this year, and that was a feature that we just didn't build. So we'll definitely look at adding it though. That could be really cool.
So with your Twitter, how many followers do you have right now?
I could whip my phone out and tell you right now, but I think we're close to 700.
Wow.
Which is pretty good.
That's great.
We're really excited. Whenever we get one new person, we're like, great, this is somebody who's going to be reading our articles as they come out for the rest of the year. So 701 would be a big deal for us. But
So paint a picture, where would you like Purdue Review to be a year from now? I hate to throw 5 years at you because you probably won't be around here.
Oh
5
yeah,
years from now.
hopefully I am not still here, but sometimes I don't know, engineering is hard. So a year from now though, I would definitely like to see us increase the size of our magazine. Basically increase across the board. So more pages, more stories, and more advertisers, which would be great. Our organization is not really limited on our ability to write. It's limited by the amount of money that we have. So if we sell more advertisements, we can expand our magazine, we can get it to more people, and I think provide a better service to Purdue. So what I guess if you're asking for like specific goals, I'd like to.
Have you got a plan? You got a plan?
Yeah,
mapped
I'm
out?
actually. Well, the thing is, so I'm actually only going to be editor-in-chief until December of this year, because I started in January. So it'll really be up to the next person to determine where they want to go.
Okay.
I have my vision, which is, like I said, like a bigger magazine with more pages and more advertisements and bigger stories. In December, my time will be up, and it'll be time for somebody else to kind of determine where they want this thing to go.
Has that person been chosen yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We're actually doing like leadership applications right now.
So who will make the decision on the next editor-in-chief?
Oh, we have a board of directors, which is
Okay.
actually a group of alumni who worked on this magazine, which has been around
Oh.
it's been around since 2006, but not in its current form. So they give a lot of feedback, but I believe I also have a say as well. I will not be the defining vote, but so it'll be me and it will be our alumni, and we'll get together usually at 9 Irish, and we'll just like be eating and like going through applications, and at the end of that process, we find somebody who I think will really take the organization to that next step.
Yeah.
How many are on the board?
We have a board of directors of, it's a maximum of 9 members, and that includes me, so 8 other people.
That's cool. 9 Irish. I guess that's a place to
Yeah.
brainstorm too, right?
Yeah. We always meet there whenever we have meetings, so we're a big fan of the fish and chips.
So what would be, as we have a few minutes left to wrap up here, what are some things that you would like the Purdue community to know about Purdue Review that we haven't talked about so far?
Well, I would say, first of all, don't be afraid to contact any one of us if you're interested in joining. We're always looking for new members. We did have like an application deadline, but I mean, we're certainly open to having new people join. We're especially looking for people who want to get some experience in sales or like business relations, because we're looking to grow that side of our organization. I would also say pick up a copy of our magazine when it comes out, and I believe it'll be in 2 weeks, because there's going to be a lot of cool stories. I know I talked about some of them, but there's going to be a lot more that I didn't mention that you can't really find anywhere else. So those would be my 2 big takeaways.
And when's the deadline date? You mentioned a deadline date to submit.
To submit like an application?
Mhm.
Well, that actually already passed, but
Oh, did it?
but we're still definitely looking for members to join, so there would be no problem with somebody contacting us and saying, hey, I'm interested, how do I get involved? We have a Facebook page. It's just facebook.com/Purdue Review. We're on Twitter at Purdue Review. So give us a follow and get in touch with us, and we'll take it from there.
You on Instagram?
We are on Instagram at Purdue Review, I think.
Oh, wow, okay.
So yeah, we will be. That's something we haven't used that much, but we'd like to put more pictures up there. So
That's a good idea. And Pinterest and all the other different places.
I don't know about Pinterest.
Okay.
I don't have a Pinterest, so I don't know.
Well, thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us.
thanks
We
for
really
having me.
Appreciate it. And please contact you immediately if you're really interested in publishing an article or professional skill development. Thanks. Have a good day.